As a fellow middle-aged man in his 40s, I want to talk to you about something that many of you will doubt. The fact that your 40s is actually your best decade for building wealth. That is right. Not your 20s, not your 30s. I confidently believe that your 40s are your best decade yet, especially when it comes to wealth building. So if you want to hear more, let's jump right into it. The number one reason why your 40s are your best wealth building decade. You're entering your peak performance years. Yes, whether you like to believe it or not, your 40s are where most people reach their peak performance. According to research published in the Harvard Business Review, professional peak performance, especially in high-skill, knowledge-based careers, typically occurs between age 40 and 55. This is backed by UC Davis psychology professor Dean Keith Simonton's research on career trajectories, which found that career success and productivity increases for the first 20 years, peaks around age 50, and then begins to taper off. And you might be thinking, that can't be right. I'm 45 years old. When I wake up in the morning, I definitely don't feel like I'm at my peak. Yes, your joint might tell you differently, but we're not talking about physical capability. That, unfortunately, my friend, peaked over a decade ago, and we're not getting that back. I'm talking about the convergence of all areas of our life: experience, energy, wisdom, and strategic thinking. Studies from MIT and Harvard revealed that while our muscle mass and general athleticism peaks in our 20s, the brain, our ability to synthesize information and make strategic decisions, actually peaks in our 40s or early 50s. For those of you who are sad about getting older, let that sit for a minute. Yes, you might not be able to run that 6-minute mile anymore or bench press like you did back in your 20s, but when it comes to your cognitive abilities and decision making, you're operating at one of the highest levels. And we can see so many real-life examples where people who are supposedly past their prime achieve extraordinary things. Take Sam Walton, for example. The man had a decent retail management career in his 20s and 30s. Nothing spectacular, just solid work managing Ben Franklin stores. But at age 44 in 1962, he opened the first Walmart in Rogers, Arkansas. Not exactly the age when most people think about starting a revolutionary business empire. By the time he died in 1992, he was one of the richest people in the world. And today, his family remains the wealthiest family in America with a net worth of over $400 billion. All because a 44-year-old man decided his best years were not behind it. They were just getting started. Or consider Laura Ingalls Wilder. She lived what she called an ordinary life for 65 years. Then at age 65, she published her first Little House book. She went on to write 12 more novels after that, creating a literary legacy that's still beloved today and spawned one of the most successful TV series in history. This is what peak performance looks like in your 40s and beyond. You have the experience to avoid rookie mistakes, still the energy to execute at high levels, and the wisdom to make strategic decisions. So if you're in or entering your 40s and feel like it is too late, do not. You're not past your prime. You're just entering it, my friend. The second reason your 40s are ideal for wealth building, strongly connected to peak performance, 40s are also your peak earning years. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, median earnings peak at $71,000 between age 45 and 54. But here's what's really interesting. That's just the median. When you look at high-income earners, the advantage becomes even more pronounced. Pay scale research shows that for college-educated professionals, the income trajectory is dramatic. Individuals with bachelor's degrees see their salaries continue to climb through their 40s, with peak earnings typically occurring around age 50 to 52. We're talking about 30 to 50% increase from their 30s baseline. Let me give you some specific examples. According to salary data, surgeons and specialists hit their peak earning years between 45 to 55. Often making $400,000 to $600,000 annually during this period. Corporate executives typically see their highest compensation packages in their late 40s and early 50s. Senior software engineers and tech leaders at major companies often don't hit their $300,000 compensation packages until their 40s. But it's not just about absolute numbers. It's also about career capital. Steve Martin once said, "Be so good they can't ignore you." By your 40s, if you've been intentional about your career, you've built exactly that kind of capital. You have specialized skills that are rare and valuable. You have proven track record of results. You have industry reputation and connections. You understand how to navigate organizational politics and complex business relationships. And all this translates to leverage. Leverage you can use to negotiate higher salaries, secure better positions, or even start your own business with a built-in network of potential clients and partners. And if you're wise with your money during these peak earning years, living below your means, staying out of debt, and investing consistently, you can really supercharge your path to wealth. But even with peak earning power, some of you might still think it's too late. Well, let me show you why the math disagrees. The third reason your 40s are perfect for wealth building. To many of you who think it is too late, Well, the math says otherwise. The math of compound interest still works beautifully in your favor. To prove this point, as numbers nerds that we are, let's run some scenarios. Because everyone says you have to start early in investing or you're doomed to financial failure, let's actually put this to the test. Let's compare an early starter, a 25-year-old, and a so-called late starter, a 40-year-old. In this scenario, let's say that the 25-year-old puts away a flat $500 a month for 40 years at a 7% return. After 40 years, he would end up with approximately $1.3 million. A nice number and a good reason why so many financial gurus always talk about starting early in investing. And I don't deny that fact. The earlier we can get into the market, the more we can reap from it. However, let's compare that to a 40-year-old who supposedly starts late. But because this 40-year-old is at his peak performance years and is making really good money, he's able to invest $1,500 a month for 25 years at the same 7% return. What does that get him? He ends up with $1.2 million. Not that far off from the 25-year-old. And $1,500 a month is totally doable for this 40-year-old because this individual has strong career capital, as we talked about earlier. So this debunks the myth that starting late dooms you to financial mediocrity. With 15 fewer years, but significantly higher earning power, you can nearly match someone who has a 15-year head start. But let's take this to the next level. What if our 40-year-old can save $2,500 a month? That's totally realistic for someone in their peak earning years making excellent money. At $2,500 a month for 25 years at 7%, they'd accumulate $2 million. Now, they've blown past the early starter by a wide margin. This shows that compound interest does not care how old you are. As long as you contribute enough and give it enough time, you can reach your financial goals. And one of my favorite examples that highlight this power of compound interest is Warren Buffett. Many people mistakenly assume that Warren Buffett was always a billionaire. However, if we were to actually look at his wealth timeline, what we find is that he actually didn't become a billionaire until he was 56 years old, well past his 40s. He was supposedly past his prime years, but the compound interest math didn't care. And that same math compounded his wealth to $150 billion today. In essence, 99% of his wealth did not come about until the latter half of his life. So next time you think you're too late, just know that it is likely just the beginning. 99% of your achievements, your wealth, might still be ahead of you. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, this all makes sense about my 40s being primed for wealth building. But how do I actually act on this? How can I apply these lessons to my personal situation? Because here's the thing. While your 40s give you all these advantages, peak earning power, wisdom, clarity, everyone's situation is still different. Your current portfolio, your specific timeline to retirement, your risk tolerance, your other financial priorities, they all matter when creating your wealth acceleration strategy. That's exactly why I created the Financial Tortoise community, the ultimate slow wealth community that helps people just like you navigate these exact decisions and capitalize on this prime decade of your life. Let's tell you about a recent member. Let's call her Sarah, who came to our community in her mid-40s, making great money as a senior marketing director. But she was paralyzed by all the investment options out there. She had $150,000 sitting in savings accounts because she was afraid of making the wrong move. Sounds familiar? During our one-on-one coaching sessions, we reviewed her complete financial picture and discovered she was actually in an incredible position. She was able to create a systematic plan that took full advantage of her peak earning years, maxing out her 401k, utilizing backdoor Roth conversions, and setting up automated investing into low-cost index funds. And afterwards, Sarah told me how she never felt so much confidence over her finances until that moment. That's the power of being part of the Financial Tortoise community. You never have to navigate these critical wealth-building decisions alone. Here's what you can expect to find inside the Financial Tortoise community. Access to one-on-one coaching sessions with me, where we can work together to build out your personalized financial plan for your 40s and beyond. Step-by-step courses like Investing Simplified that walks you through investing pitfalls and sample investment portfolios. Access to monthly live Q&A calls, where we dive deep into key topics like tax optimization strategies, investment allocation, and retirement planning. A private forum connecting you with other like-minded professionals in their prime earning years in the same wealth-building journey. Premium tools like Monarch Money to track your progress. Our quarterly book club that keeps you learning without the overwhelm. And here's something I'm really excited about. We just launched the Financial Tortoise AI Assistant, a custom GPT you can access 24/7. Think of it like having me in your pocket to answer questions like, how should I prioritize my investments in my 40s? Or what's the best way to catch up on retirement savings? However, to maintain the quality of support each member receives, I only open enrollment a few times a year. So join the waitlist today at financialtortoise.com/community and get priority access when doors open again. Many members have completely transformed their financial lives during their peak earning years, and with the right guidance and clear plan, you can too. You deserve it. I would love to see you inside. Alright, with that said, let's get back to the video. The fourth reason your 40s are ideal for wealth building. You're primed to make better, wiser life and money decisions. If you're in your 40s today, you know you've seen things. You've experienced things. You've been up and you've also been down. It's all part of moving up the age ladder. And all those experiences, both the successes and the failures, have taught you valuable lessons that translate directly into smarter life and money decisions. You've learned the hard way that boring often beats exciting when it comes to money. You understand that flashy investments with promises of huge returns is usually the ones that leave you broke. You develop what I call street smarts, the ability to spot nonsense from a mile away. And it's not just about avoiding bad investments. People in their 40s are less likely to take on high-interest consumer debt. They've learned that debt is a wealth killer. They've understand the real cost of borrowing money for lifestyle purchases. They probably made those mistakes in their 20s and 30s and learned from them. But wisdom extends beyond just money decisions. It's also reflected in life decisions. Let me share with you a couple real-life examples of real-life wisdom in action. Julia Child is well known today as one of America's most beloved culinary icons. But her path to success was far from conventional. She spent years working as a government clerk, feeling unfulfilled and directionless. It wasn't until she was 36 and moved to France with her husband that she discovered her passion for cooking. But here's the key. She didn't rush into anything. She didn't quit her day job to chase a dream without a plan. She spent years learning, studying, making countless mistakes in the kitchen. She understood that mastery takes time, that shortcuts don't work, and that the best things in life are built slowly and deliberately. She didn't write her first cookbook until she was 49 years old, an age when many people think their best years are behind them. But Julia knew better. That cookbook became Mastering the Art of French Cooking, and it launched a culinary empire that lasted decades. Her TV career didn't even begin until she was 50, all because she had the wisdom to know that real success is not about speed, it's about substance. Or consider Vera Wang. She spent 17 years climbing the ladder at Vogue magazine, then she moved to Ralph Lauren. When she was passed over for the editor-in-chief position at Vogue, a devastating professional blow, she could have been bitter. Instead, at age 40, she made a calculated decision to enter the fashion industry not as an employee, but as an entrepreneur. She used every lesson she learned about fashion, business, and yes, even disappointment to build what would become a billion-dollar bridal empire. Her setbacks became her setup. This is what emotional and financial maturity looks like in action. Both Julia and Vera understood something that is hard to recognize when we're young and inexperienced: the importance of patience and persistence. The fifth and final reason your 40s are your best wealth-building decade. Continuing from the earlier point of wisdom with age, at this stage, you have much greater clarity about what you actually want from life. Again, when you're in your 40s, you've been around the block. Now, you may not have done 70 or 80 labs like our parents, but you've done enough to get a feel for things. Most importantly, about yourself. Who you are, what you're good at, what you're not, and what you value. And this is your superpower. Because you have clarity, you can now channel your energy towards things in your life that matter most to you. You're not needing to whack at multiple priorities, hoping you hit the right one. You have clarity in what you want in life. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, talked about how the company's massive growth happened in his 40s because to him, that is when everything clicked. Experience, vision, and execution all came together. All the things that he struggled with compounded to that stage in his life when he was primed to take his company to the next level. Additionally, historical research shows that much Nobel Prize-winning work is done at an average age of 40. Why? Because peak creative contributions often occur in middle age. This is when you have enough experience to understand complex problems, but you still have the energy and drive to solve them. So if you're in your 40s today, I say celebrate it. You're in one of the best decades of your life. It is the perfect storm of high earning power, peak cognitive performance, wise decision-making, and enough time for compound interest to work its magic. You're primed to take over the world. Thank you guys for watching The Line of Positive Mindset. If you want to learn some signs that you might be doing great with money already, please check out my video here. Until next time, all the best.